When you see images like these from the North Korean capital, Pyongyang, you might think that North Korea is a completely normal country in the Far East. However, nothing could be further from the truth. North Korea remains the most severe totalitarian regime in the world, where absolute obedience is constantly demanded. In North Korea, there is no proper legal system, no democracy, and certainly no freedom. For this reason, for several years, desperate people have been trying to escape from North Korea. The only problem is that this is much easier said than done, as escaping from North Korea is more difficult than from any other country in the world. The punishment for trying to leave the country is forced labor in concentration camps and, in many cases, even death. And even if someone manages to actually leave the country, the terror does not end there. In many cases, the North Korean regime persecutes the family members left behind by the defectors. It's no wonder that, with all these harsh reprisals, few North Koreans attempt to escape. But what if you want to? What are the options to escape from North Korea? Or perhaps it's completely impossible. We answer this question in this video. So keep watching to find out. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. At first glance, it seems quite obvious where a North Korean should escape to: South Korea. After all, South Korea not only shares a common history with North Korea but also the border between the two countries stretches over 250 kilometers. What's more, if someone manages to flee to South Korea, they automatically receive South Korean citizenship since South Korea still considers the 26 million North Koreans as their citizens. However, there is a problem with escaping to South Korea. The border between the two countries is one of the most heavily guarded areas in the world, surrounded by tall walls, electrified barbed wire, and millions of landmines. It is defended by millions of soldiers with real ammunition, who have explicit orders to shoot anyone daring to try to cross. The sad result is that hundreds of people have lost their lives in recent decades trying to cross the border. The last North Korean who managed to cross the border was shot 5 times, lost half of his blood, and spent months in the hospital following his escape. Escaping to South Korea is not a viable option for many North Koreans. However, to the east and west of the country, North Korea has extensive coastlines, which would make a boat escape possible. Yet, there are also challenges with this plan. The main hurdle is acquiring a boat. In North Korea, it's nearly impossible for most people, who are very poor, to buy a boat. Even if they had the money, their only option would be to swim to South Korea, which carries the risk of drowning or being captured by North Korean military boats. An example of this is the story of a man named Chul Junli, who was a high-ranking official in the State Security Ministry. In 2016, he and a friend decided to escape by boat. They bought a motorcycle tire, an air pump, backpacks, and food. One night, they entered the water near the North Korean city of Juhurik. Unfortunately, the air pump didn't work, and they had to abandon the tire, relying on their backpacks to stay afloat. They swam for over 4 hours in the dark until they spotted an unidentified boat approaching. Afraid it might be a North Korean patrol, they swam to a small island and spent the rest of the night there. The next morning, they found wooden pallets and built a raft. Unbeknownst to them, they were already in South Korean waters and were soon discovered by a South Korean boat. However, they are an exception. For most, attempting to flee to South Korea by sea results in death or capture. It's not possible to escape by land or by sea to South Korea. So, to which countries can a North Korean escape? Besides South Korea, there are only 3 other countries a North Korean can flee to: Japan, Russia, and China. Japan, much like South Korea, treats North Korean defectors humanely and sends them to South Korea where they receive citizenship. However, the problem here is the long escape journey, which stretches over more than 420 kilometers across the Northwest Pacific, often plagued by storms. Only 3 people have successfully escaped to Japan by sea in the entire history of North Korea. Besides Japan and South Korea, the other 2 countries one can flee to from North Korea are Russia and China. The land border with Russia is only 17 kilometers long and is only lightly guarded by the North Korean army. The problem when fleeing to Russia is actually what happens when one is discovered. Russia's official policy is to immediately deport North Korean refugees back to North Korea. The only way to avoid this is to reach the South Korean embassy in Vladivostok before being discovered by the army, but this is also risky. It's a perilous journey with limited options for safety and refuge. Finally, there is the option of crossing the land border into China, which is the most popular method of escape. The border between North Korea and China stretches over 1,300 kilometers and runs along the Yalu River and two other rivers that flow through rugged and remote terrain. Border patrols and controls are almost non-existent in this area, and the best months to escape are the summer months when the rivers are shallower or the winter when they are usually frozen. Thus, one can simply walk into China. Many North Koreans have done this, but the real danger begins once they are in China. Like Russia, China follows the same policy. All North Korean defectors are immediately deported back to North Korea, where they will likely face a cruel fate. Unlike Russia, it is easier for North Koreans to remain undetected after their escape, but this is also not a permanent solution. So, what's the problem with escaping to a foreign embassy in China? The issue is that embassies in China are heavily guarded, making it very likely for escapees to be intercepted and deported to North Korea before reaching the embassy. Therefore, the only truly viable solution for North Koreans is to travel through China to another country. However, since China is the fourth largest country in the world, spanning 9.5 million square kilometers, and escapees don't have money for transportation, this is also not easy. Additionally, there's the question of which country to flee to after leaving China. Out of China's 8 neighboring countries, Russia, Vietnam, Laos, and Myanmar are not options due to their deportation policies. India, Bhutan, Nepal, and Pakistan face the same problem. To enter these countries, one must cross the Himalayas, the world's highest mountain range, where temperatures can be extremely low. Finally, there's Mongolia, which doesn't deport North Koreans but allows them to depart for South Korea. To do this, North Koreans only need to present themselves to Mongolian police. The only problem is that to reach Mongolia, one must cross the Gobi Desert, one of the largest deserts in the world, full of dangerous wild animals, extremely harsh temperatures, and few resources for survival. Navigating through the desert requires a lot of skill. Thus, the escape route through China poses an incredible challenge for any North Korean defector. No matter how hard one tries, escaping from China is an unimaginable challenge for any North Korean defector. Therefore, in China, there are intermediaries who have been assisting North Koreans in their escape for several years. However, these highly illegal services can cost up to $18,000 per person, a fortune considering that an average North Korean earns only $1,300 a year. Just this service would cost a defector more than 10 years' salary, something most North Koreans cannot afford. As you can see, North Koreans live in a desperate situation. Almost every escape route is extremely dangerous, and the risk of being captured and ending up in a forced labor camp is very high. Additionally, people in North Korea are constantly bombarded with propaganda, so many don't even consider the idea of escaping. We hope this video has shown the dire conditions in which people in other parts of the world still live today and how important it is for us to have understanding and empathy for their situation. In this regard, let us know in the comments what you think is the best way to escape from North Korea and what you think about it overall. Like and subscribe to our channel. Click on the video that is appearing on your screen to watch content as good as this. Until next time.